Hey, welcome to Funny Synth Noises, where I talk about the things that interest me, and you tolerate it for however long you can. It's been a long year, and I've gone through a lot, much more than I expected, but let's not unpack all of it on a public platform. Good thing there is music to get me through it. And although just about all the artists I like are old enough to be my grandparents, some of them have been dropping new music. So why not do a review compilation, and then talk about other musical stuff this year? That being said, these are the artists I listen to. Everything is my opinion, etc., etc., you get the idea. It's a self-indulgent video, but it's my channel, and I can talk about myself as much as I want. I waited until September to listen to this. We watched the film in my early films class, so I sat there in the front row with my headphones on and tried my best to sync up Carl's score to the movie. It was tough because I didn't know exactly where to start, but the score didn't exactly match the imagery anyways, and that's one of my criticisms. The other is that the score feels like 37 separate songs. There's not a very good transition between them, so it becomes clear that you're listening to a score, which takes away from the immersion. I also felt the score was too minimal for the film. It's not a scary film by any means, but it's so overdramatic that I wanted a score to match it. I guess it made for decent background music when I wrote my final essay for the class about the film. This is the first of many box sets dropped this year. Of course, it's got the 3 albums, and a bunch of mixes and instrumentals and demos. The demos are pretty good. I just wish we had some more Johnny New Light content. Also, am I the only person whose favorite Dream Academy album is A Different Kind of Weather? I've been up since late last night, water in my eyes, listening to the song. Instead of a new Kissing the Pink album, we got an anthology. Another classic example of Kissing the Pink failing to deliver. Sorry. Anyways, the first 3 albums are on here along with a bunch of alternative mixes and a few B-sides. I already had access to all these because I got the treasure trove of rare KTP material from Jeff Groat a few years ago. So this anthology was pointless to me, because I'm just that cool and special. But I guess now the general public can listen to the absolute banger that is Water in My Eye. It was really funny seeing them advertise this on social media with the acronym for This Is the C. Like, sorry guys, even if you put a space between the T and the ITS, you're still trying to promote the Tits box set. And I refuse to call it anything but that. This is a collection of a ton of alternate mixes and recordings of the songs off This Is the C. There's piano demos, rough mixes, just about everything you could ask for. And of course there's the unreleased tracks or demos scattered throughout. It's really interesting to see what didn't make the cut, and what happened before the album tracks made it there. I've been slowly gravitating towards Scottish new wave and sophistopop, making the Starless project perfect for me. I love the first 2 albums. This one just didn't quite do it for me. Don't get me wrong, it's as gorgeous as the rest, but I wasn't as touched. I absolutely love the Chris Thompson and Graham Skinner songs from the other albums, but their tracks here were disappointing. And before the album dropped, I was hoping James Grant from Love and Money might show up, but instead we got a cover of You're Beautiful that paled in comparison to the original. I did quite enjoy the re-recording of Stepping Out Slowly with Jerry Burns, and oh man, the re-recording of Suffocate with Roddy Hart was incredible. I had to check out the original after that, and it became one of my most listened to songs of the year, especially because the meanings I interpreted from it became a little too relatable. I'm also a little bummed out that Alone and Forsaken excerpt was so short. I know it was just a really good segue into it together, but it could have been so damn good as its own track. But I certainly didn't hate the album. I just prefer the others. I did not care about this album. The instrumentals were weak and the vocals weaker. I was bored throughout most of it. Some of the more daring songs in terms of lyrics, like Dancing Star and New London Boy, felt like they were trying to be grandiose, but the overall mediocrity of the album ruined what could have been powerful tracks. That being said, I saw the Dream Mode concert film a couple months before the album dropped, and that was pretty fun. I was the youngest person in the theater. I had a blast. No way, an entirely 21st century artist on my list? Crazy. I discovered Thrin through their first 2 singles with Izzy Kershaw, and I was happy to see those 2 included in an EP along with 2 other glorious album tracks. I adore Thrin's voice. hitting the highest highs and lowest lows, always shifting with the moods of the songs. The EP tells a story, the decadence of a confusing love, addressing this nameless lover with pleasure and pain. I am so excited to see what else Thrim does.
I'm on the way to make my name.
I already made a video about this album. Go watch it. And if you don't want to spend a whopping 8 minutes of your life on that, I'll sum it up here. These demos are unlike any of the Redbox albums, being more synth-punk than world music or sophistopop. They're fascinating. It's a peek into what Redbox might have been. They're not perfect, still having that rough demo edge, but they're enjoyable for what they are. I'm also going to go off script here and talk about One for the Curve briefly, because we couldn't do that in the last video because it wasn't up on streaming and whatever. Anyways, Simon, what's that song about? Didn't know if I was a boy or a girl? Are you a freak? Yes, maybe. Left by a precious man who looked my way? Like, okay, good for you. I'm not going to talk about that horrible AI cover, because I think it's been discussed enough already, but I will say that it sucks. This is a live album with a 4-song EP within it. I listened to the live part in the form of going to the concert film, which was pretty fun. I think I was still the youngest person in the theater. The EP itself was alright. The songs are tolerable, but they just feel like weaker songs that never made the cut on the tipping point. For fun, here's a brief run of some albums I checked out for the first time this year and quite enjoyed.
Ich fahr die ganze Nacht, bis ich bei dir bin. Of your eyes leaves me perpetually adoring you. As she twists and she whirls and she dances it all away.
Not to get sad for a moment, but I want to acknowledge the passing of Carl Wallinger. I have unfortunately not listened to as much World Party as I would have liked, but I am not unfamiliar with the band, and am quite familiar with the Waterboys. It really hit me to realize that such a talented man is gone. He played on some of my favorite songs of all time, with a band that changed my life, and it hurts to remember that he is gone. Thank you, Carl, you will truly be missed. I was supposed to see OMD this year, but that got postponed to 2025. I thought I would have no concerts this year, but when I saw $35 balcony tickets to the Jesus and Mary Chain and the Psychedelic Furs, and was already going through a kind of tough emotional time, I had to take advantage of it, for my own sanity. I knew like one Jesus and Mary Chain song before the show, so I did a bit of listening the day before to prepare myself. They put on a great show. I'll have to properly listen at some point. I mostly went for the Peefers, who were spectacular. Richard Butler's voice has aged beautifully. His pantomimes and theatrics really added to the flair. I was disappointed but not surprised they didn't play my favorite song of theirs, Ash Wednesday, but they played Pulse, so I was thrilled about that. A few weeks later, my dad texted me if I wanted to see Duran Duran. Now, I haven't been into that band since I was 15. They're fine and all, but I am no longer the cringy Durania I once was. But he said he'd pay for tickets, and it seemed almost like he wanted to go, so... And the show was fun. Everyone was singing along. I felt really at home among the middle-aged white moms, many of whom had a drink too many, including the people next to me. They played all the classics, and their covers were pretty fun too. It felt almost surreal to be seeing the band I adored during such a vulnerable period in my life. I did it for 15-year-old Funny Synth Noises, and I'm sure she would be so happy for me. I also went to some shows at and around my college campus. I'm going to keep the details of those to myself, but boy are they a blast. I am far from punk or hardcore, yet the thrill of live music matters much more than the genre. The DIY scene where I go to school is amazing, and I didn't know I needed it until that fateful first show as a freshman. I have a few concerts lined up for next year. Kraftwerk performing Autobahn, and hopefully more than just that album. The OMD show that got postponed, and the Ocean Blue performing their first 2 albums. The Waterboys are supposed to go on a North American tour, which I desperately want to go to since I missed them in 2019, and, I said they were the band that changed my life. I'm also hoping I can convince my family to vacation in London so I can see Redbox. There's a lot of wishful thinking happening in my life. Thanks for tuning in. What were your favorite releases from the year? Any good concerts? Talk to me about it all. And with that, see you next year.